Done.
Okay, cool.
There's something unbelievably funny about Google Stadia not allowing you to play Resident Evil 7 with the controller.
There it is. Okay, mic's on.
All right.
Got it. Seems like everything's working just fine.
I think so. If we end up getting a viewer, we should definitely ask if everything's cool.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. Let me bring the mouse back here. Okay. So now it looks like it's working. All right, friends. So today we have the special honor of playing with Under 10 Gaming.
Under 10 hours.
Under 10 hours. Sorry.
That's okay. No, I feel like my mind is also fried.
Yeah. And the title, which I changed, was featuring Under 10 hours. Okay. YouTube only.
Okay.
Okay, and now
You can refresh it. There you go. Okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
This is what we came here to do. All right. So, anyway.
This is what we call hashtag seamless.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stream today. We have an extremely fun thing planned for you guys today. And when I say we, I mean we have the opportunity to stream locally. We're talking to the land, ladies and gentlemen, with the one, the only, Under 10 Hours. My friend, Under 10, how you doing today?
I'm doing okay. My head's a little bit fried after banging our heads against a wall trying to get the controller to register on Resident Evil 7, only to find out that it's a Resident Evil problem, not us. Which is absolutely bizarre. But I'm gonna play some Mortal Kombat. I love me some Mortal Kombat. Totally forgot that Spawn was in this game. That's cool,
Right.
because Soul Calibur 2 on Xbox had Spawn as the Microsoft special character.
Oh.
PS2 had Yoda, I believe. That might not be right.
Wait,
No,
like-
PS2 was Tekken, and then of course Link was on the GameCube. So when we were playing, when we were younger and played on your GameCube, we always played as Link. But when I got the game, Spawn was my guy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you gotta
I gotta bring it back.
go back to your homie for sure. So
Now he's Deadpool.
So I love this guy Kotal Khan because one, he's an Aztec guy, and he's like an emperor of the Aztec people, I think. And he was in the storyline. Spoiler alert. He was, I think, the backup guy to one of the main emperors, and then he like takes over.
Okay.
And he was nominated to be like one of the rulers. I think we should random it.
Yeah, for sure.
So as we're doing this, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself? Obviously, your under 10 self.
Mm-hmm.
We're not doxing today, but tell us a little bit about yourself and your channel and your under 10 origin story.
Yeah. So I finished school in journalism, and after fighting video and really not wanting to do video, I realized after I graduated that video is very cool. It was just taught poorly. So to basically sharpen my skills, what I did was
because you're cunning.
I took up a YouTube channel and decided to learn how to do it. And what I found was I love to do video. I love talking about retro games. You can find me at Under 10 Hours Gaming. YouTube.com/Under10Hours Gaming.
And I'm gonna, of course, put that in the description. Everybody. But yeah, keep going.
So what I do is I basically each week, more or less, depending on what happens. Wow, that's brutal.
That was good.
Yeah. Basically, what I do is every week I take a look at another game, sometimes a series retrospective, depending on what I'm feeling.
All retro.
All retro for the most part. I rarely go past PS3. Sometimes I'll play like older games, like I played Dead Rising, the original Dead Rising, on the PS4 just for better quality. But basically, I try to keep it pretty retro, like Xbox, PS2, GameCube, N64, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's all about having fun, playing games I never played before, and that's pretty much it.
So why, with so many games now, like why such a focus on retro?
Because there's a lot of games I've missed, and did I just X-ray you?
Oh, you totally did. But there's a lot of games you missed.
Yeah, there's a lot of games I missed. A lot of games So I've always like wanted to do a YouTube channel in some way or another. I am in a bad spot.
Wait, I gotta look up the move. I don't know how to do it yet.
Yeah. While you look that up, I've always wanted to do a YouTube channel, and I found that my favorite era of gaming was probably the Xbox. And games from around that time. Ooh. Oh!
Total Khan wins.
And so it's going back, celebrating the games I loved from back then, playing games from back then I'd never played before, which is like part of... That's kind of become my favorite thing, playing new things. Yeah, I don't want to play a Spawn anymore.
Oh, time out for a second. Richard's Final Fantasy. Yes, we tried Resident Evil. What happened was it was not... The controllers were not registering, unfortunately, which meant we couldn't use the Stadia controller, which we want to use. So we decided, go to something where not only can we use the controller, but we can both play LAN to do that. So just wanted to answer you and give you that heads up.
Yeah.
So anyways, please continue.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I just really enjoyed going back and playing games from back then, and like especially what we were gonna do is play Resident Evil, because I've played a lot of Resident Evil lately, and 7 is one of those games that I've been intrigued by, never got around to playing. So I was hoping that it would be like a good crossing over point where I last week released a video on RE2, and it would make sense to stream that.
Oh,
but
well, and there's more backstory there just with us.
Yeah. We played a lot of.
We played a ton of it. We played a ton of it growing up as kids. Because I had the GameCube. Well, we both had GameCubes, and
I did not. I only ever had it at your. I only played it at your house. But we played so much GameCube at your house, it felt like I owned one.
It totally felt that way. I thought you for sure did. Ooh, you stopped my favorite. I thought for sure. Well, when did you get your GameCube?
I got my GameCube for $20 at a GameStop, and right before I went to college, so about 2014-ish.
Round 2, fight.
Oh, okay. So it was a while.
I also really didn't start collecting for it until this year. Like, I had a few games. One of my ex-girlfriends, when she was cleaning out her house, she was like, I got all these GameCube games, if you want them. She gave me a bunch of them, which was very nice of her. She did not have to do that. But, so I'd had some games, like I had Animal Crossing, I had Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, and just random things, like Pikmin 1. And then... And then this year, I was like, I really want to...
Move list.
Move list, that's what I'm looking for.
Also, Richard's Final Fantasy. we're gonna try again. I mean, we'll just keep trying it until it works. We usually hang out like maybe about once a week or so. So we'll try again next time. I'm gonna be going out of town, so I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to do it. We'll probably try to do it at least one more time before I go out of town. And then I'll be out of town for a little while. So I will. I can actually comment back on this one, and I'll at you when that happens. So don't worry. Oh,
Friendship. Lol. We
do
really
you actually get. I think you get your own profile with your own stats and stuff.
That's funny.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, wait, should we go? Let's go back to the main menu. Let me see if we can customize a profile for you.
Okay, that's fine.
Because that would be tight.
Yeah, I cannot tell you how disappointing it was to find that we couldn't play Resident Evil because I've really been interested in RE7 for a while. Because that took the series in such a unique direction that it had never been in before. Like, it's a first person. It's first person as opposed to the third person like the others. And that would have been a lot of fun.
So I want to basically... I'm not sure how to do that.
Characters.
Chat, if you know how to customize your stuff here or add a second person, that would be super tight. Because I actually have no idea how to do that. Anyways, all right, well, let's just keep going for now.
Okay.
But oh yeah, hop in. Okay, sweet. So yeah, so we played a lot of Resident Evil growing up, and oh dude, please tell the story of
RE0.
Yeah.
Okay, that was like one of my favorite Resident Evil memories. So I went to Ben's house and I was looking through his games.
All good.
I was at your house and I was looking through all your games and I was like, I've heard of Resident Evil, kind of want to play it, and you were like, no man, it's too scary. And I was like, come on,
we were little children.
Yeah, little kids, like first grade maybe, like young. And
Sub-Zero.
I was like, come on, man, like it can't be that bad. Like I saw it was rated M. But even then I was like, no, it can't be that bad. And you were like, no, it's too much. And I was like, please, like let's just play for like 5 minutes. And you were like, all right.
So you put a 5-minute card.
And so you put the game in the console and then leave the room. And I don't know if anybody listening, if they've ever played Resident Evil 0, but the moment where you get on the train to like the second floor and run into the guy sitting at the table and he melts into a leech monster,
Fight.
I was like, oh, I get it.
This is why. Yeah, because I had decided, I am going to play this by myself as a little kid. And keep in mind, it was like a 2-story house, and I was by myself, and I was probably home alone also when I first played it. And so I'm doing all that, and it's like freaking Resident Evil, right? So we obviously know what that is, and what happened there. And so I'm like, oh my god, this is freaking terrifying. And then there was this one moment. Oh, I think you're screwed.
Oh.
So, there was this one moment where the freaking, like the frog happens. And I'm like, I will forever remember that because, dude, that's creepy. Especially
that frog, it was so funny. I was playing Resident Evil 1 And I was like, hey Ben, I'm playing Resident Evil for the first, like, it's finishing it for the first time, because those games were pretty tough back then. They involved a different way of thinking. But I texted you when I started 1, and I was like, I'm playing Resident Evil, it's pretty crazy. And you were like, just wait till you get to the frog. And I was like, what? And coincidentally, I opened up Twitter, and somebody posted a GIF of the frog eating you. And I was like, oh my god!
It's so useful.
Oh, yeah.
Hold up, gotta check the move list. Okay. Direct current.
Wow.
Oh, that's so gnarly. You gotta love how gory it is.
It's so excessive.
It's literally the most excessive, which is awesome.
I know, it's so funny too, looking back on the absolute chaos this game caused way back in the day when it was in arcades and people discovered fatalities, and how it was just like all of these pearl clutching adults were just like, my kids can't be playing this, and like now we're seeing stuff like this and no one bats an eye. You know, it was like pixelated people like ripping what looked like very blurry spines out, and it was very tame compared to what we get today. And then was where it was a big controversy, and now people are just so over it.
Yeah, what do you think happened? You think we just got desensitized?
You know, that's a great question. What did we changed? I don't know. What did change?
Because something definitely changed. At least it seems like that.
I mean, I don't want to bring the mood down, but I remember talking about in photography class.
Ooh, nice counter.
Like after 2001 happened, he said there was a definite line in the sand, being an adult and explaining to us like how things changed. He was like, it seemed like after that, everyone got really hardened and really, like people stopped being fazed by so much.
Really? And you think it's crazy that much it's affected the world of video games. Because you remember there was a time when people were like, you can't play violent video games because that makes you a more violent person.
They're still trying to make that argument.
What do you think of that? What's your take?
I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I think, like, violence existed before video games.
Yes.
Right? And, like, I'm not gonna deny that, like, video games can frustrate you and, like, irritate you. And, like, because I know people growing up who would, like, get very frustrated at video games and then take that frustration out into the world. Not becoming violent, but just being agitated, you know? What was that?
I don't know.
This is my land!
So they would take it out.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna say that. I mean, this might be a hot take, but I think video games just. Oh my god! Yes. I gotta see what you did. I don't know. It doesn't amplify your personality, but it's one of those mediums that, like, you are involved directly. Sorry. Like, okay. Take Grand Theft Auto, right? The number of people you just slay in that game is, like, unbelievable, right?
Yes.
But I have never walked outside my house and have been like, oh, that's the same as taking a life.
Ah.
Like, I think that if you trust your... Like, you just have to be a... I used to work at a GameStop for years, and it was always... All the problem children were the ones whose parents didn't raise them to, like, know right from wrong. And not even like violent kids, just the misbehaved ones.
Yeah.
Because the parents didn't do the disciplining, they just, like, gave their kids Grand Theft Auto at 5 years old and didn't teach them right from wrong. And I'm not saying you shouldn't play Grand Theft Auto if you're a kid, because I played it as a kid.
Totally.
But it's like you have to also teach your kids that, like...
But there's, like...
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying it's like, yes, it's totally fine to play video games. It's also important to recognize, like, the boundary between video games and real life.
Yeah, and, like... My boss at GameStop would like once a month, have this argument from some grandmother who would just like, I can't believe these games are so violent. And he was just like, well, these violent games are rated M. Like, they're rated M for mature because they're violent. They have content in them that is only, like, suitable for adults. Like, Scarface is considered one of the, like, The Godfather, right? One of the best movies of all time. That's not a movie for kids. But there's no question that it is, right? But because video games are considered a child's toy, a lot of people are just like, well, it should be clean and for kids. And it's like, there's room for all of these experiences. Like, you can have Toy Story and you can have Scarface. It's just context and art being what it is. But movies aren't viewed for children. There are children's movies. You know what I mean?
Right. So you think it's more of like a stigma around it more than the actual thing?
Absolutely.
Oh, wait, that's you. Yeah.
Yeah. And, okay. Mid, left, right, down, right, A. Okay.
It's not right, it's
Left, right,
towards
down,
or away.
Right, A. Ooh. Oh, damn it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I pressed B by accident.
Ah,
But, like, people always point to Call of Duty being, like, hyper-violent, and, like, there's that one level, No Russian, where you play as terrorist and shoot up an airport, and, like, that's the thing that got huge controversy back in the day, because you were like killing innocent people, right? And it wasn't. But
like, that exists in the world.
Yeah, well, but also, like, you can play Call of Duty. Like, you could put 1,000 hours into Call of Duty. Like, everyone I knew in high school, Call of Duty was the only game you played, right? You don't all of a sudden know how to operate a gun. Like, it doesn't teach you how to clean a gun, load a gun. Like, you can maybe, like, mimic the things and learn that way, but it does not teach you about actually holding a gun and firing it.
Right.
Like, I play violent video games all the time, but at the same time, I don't own a gun. I've been to a firing range, and, like, the weight of holding a weapon that can take a life is nothing like a video game.
Right.
Like,
one's a controller, another is a machine.
Yeah, one of them is, like, a weapon that can kill someone within, like, a split second. And I mean, that's just me. Maybe some people can separate the difference between... can't separate the difference between fiction and reality. But the problem is that one person does something bad and it turns out they played Call of Duty. And it's like, oh, well, every single person who plays video games must be horrible. And it's like, well, no, if that was true, it wouldn't be... Like, video games are the biggest business because of the price of these things. Like, the biggest industry in entertainment.
Right. Oh, even bigger than movies?
Yeah.
Oh,
Grand
I
Theft
didn't
Auto
know that.
5 is the highest grossing media of all time.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah. And it's like, if every single person who played Grand Theft Auto then became a violent criminal who, like, murdered innocent people, maybe we could have that discussion, right? But, like, you see one person a year who just happened to have a copy of Grand Theft Auto 5. It's like, there is no correlation between them. And even if they say, like, I learned how to kill people via Grand Theft Auto, that's a psychological problem.
Right.
That's like, that's like what I was saying, not being able to separate fiction from reality. And at the same time, where were your parents or legal guardian or school to teach you otherwise? Like, you don't just wake up one day and kill people.
Fight.
Yeah,
And if you do, that's another problem.
well, that's like a chemical imbalance.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so what I think also too is we're talking about is like correlation does not equal causation.
Of course.
Because look, maybe everybody who was a terrorist or a murderer or somebody, maybe they didn't play violent video games, but not everybody who played violent video games is a murderer.
Yeah.
And that could be just coincidence. And
How did I do that?
oh, that was good. I have no idea what that was. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I also don't think that somebody who just, randomly goes on a kill spree, I don't think you can pin that on video games.
Of course not.
I don't think you can.
But I'm sure movies went through the same.
Oh, you think?
Probably back in the day.
Well, if anything...
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either.
But it's like showing violence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know either, but it's an interesting thing. Because then that can be... Like, let's take that to its logical conclusion. What about songs? Like music? What about music where the artist is like... And I don't want to take this down a rabbit hole too far, but sometimes people in songs will say things that it's like, that's literally illegal. You're literally admitting to something in a song that you're doing that is against the law.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is that not... I mean, if you have a problem with video games teaching people how to do violent things, what about music that's literally like saying, I do violent things, and that's something that's cool?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, there was also a time when hip hop was demonized for that. Like, for instance, I think it was Ice-T. He made a song called Cop Killer, and it was like this heavy metal like song about going out and killing cops, and it was just like I think he ended up winning in court because it was like, it's satire, it's a reflection of like what people deal with every single day and the violence that comes with certain, people that have interactions with the police and things like that. Like, he's not condoning it. It's just like,
oh, it's like describing it or telling them.
Yeah, it's like, it's the feeling of what they're dealing with. So,
okay, that's an interesting take on it.
But like, every form of new media is scary to somebody, and like, what's always the worst about that is it always seems to focus on the wrong things and not the actual like intent behind it.
Like, what do you mean by that?
Like, okay, let's take for instance the video game Hotline Miami, right? That game is a hyper-violent, like pixelated Miami Vice-esque shoot 'em up, where you have to like go through rooms, kill everybody, and the puzzle is trying to... Everybody dies in one hit, but you also die in one hit, so it's about clearing rooms in a perfect way. But it's supposed to be like a commentary on like how violence is like so
like prevalent.
Yeah, and like how I'm like losing my train of thought.
Okay.
But it's like how you're playing a game where violence is the answer to a puzzle. You can't make it through until you kill everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about how like trivial violence is in some things, and like video games as well. And like how you're killing dozens and dozens and dozens of people by the time it's over, and it's like it doesn't feel like it because you're progressing, you're doing the thing. And if you don't realize it's trying to make a point about violence and you only view it for what it is, you can also and you like don't look for the deeper meaning. It's like, oh, it's just an incredibly violent video game. And it's like, yes, but it's also trying to tell you something about that, you know? And like whether or not it does that well is, I mean, that's up to opinion, but that's the point, right? There's intent and like what you're supposed to get out of it.
Well, also I think it's like it's also fun. Like video games are art. You know,
I despise the people who say that video games are not art.
It's totally art. I mean, it's stupid to think it's not. Like, for example,
ridiculous if you think it's not art.
Look how beautiful what we're looking at. Not from you just threw icicle axes into my face like that, but from like look at the scenery. Like that took a graphic designer probably a lot of time to build and to create. And the characters, and the moves, and the balancing, and the ratios of like the different attacks do different amounts of damage and stuff. Like that is totally art.
Well, okay. My favorite argument that somebody made on Twitter was, writing is art, music is art, graphic design, art. So if you combine them all into a video game, it all of a sudden becomes not art. Right? Like, sure, they might be lacking one of those components, but like, you are combining art forms.
Ooh. Yeah, it's like a combination of a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
Which is totally cool.
Oh, yeah. And that's what we were talking about earlier before the stream, about how like it creates experiences you can't have through other media.
Exactly.
And that's what a lot of people just do not get about video games and how they create unique experiences.
They totally do. And it gives you an ability, like it gives you an avenue for skill expression. Like think of how many different combinations of moves and things that you can do in Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah.
Just Mortal Kombat, right?
Oh yeah, it all took an incredible amount of work to create these animations and.
But on the player side, I'm talking about. Like,
yeah.
Think about how good you can get as a player.
Oh yeah, calculating things down to the frame.
Exactly. And like playing a champion or I say champion because I play League, but playing a character or whoever you're controlling the mathematically correct way.
Exactly.
That is cool. That is an expression of skill. That's like competition, which is awesome. So that I think that's my favorite part of video games is like you can be super competitive with it and you can like all out dominate another player because you outsmarted them or outwitted them or just
practice better
or practice whatever it may be. And that to me is the coolest part. To your kickbacks. Because it's like how many things can you really do that?
I mean, you can't watch a movie faster, but you can always play a game faster.
Exactly. Or like, I like the 3 moves up you
Yeah.
Dude, I'm such a dick in this game. I literally just want to find the longest range move I can and continue doing that until it does. which means anybody who knows how to play the game or figures out how to defeat that one move. But like to me, what's also cool is how many different people from all walks of life can find in video games the great equalizer. Right? Like think about it. Anybody, regardless of who you are, where you come from, anything. Like with video games, you're equal. You're starting from the same spot.
I would like to propose an argument against that. I think in the later, more recent years, video games are becoming way more prohibitive as the cost of things goes up. Because sure, you can play like League of Legends online, but if you're only playing at like 30 frames per second, you're going to get smoked. Like
the gear is the differentiator.
The gear is the differentiator, but also like even if you're buying a console right now, PlayStation 5 is $400, $500 depending on what model you get. Same for the Xbox Series X, S, whatever. Like, and then AAA games, if you want to buy an individual game, they are $70 a piece now. And it's like, that's becoming incredibly prohibitive. Whereas just a few years ago, games were $40.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's inflation for you.
Yeah.
So then, okay. Well, that sucks though.
Yeah.
That does suck.
Well, that's why the rise of free-to-play games has become such an amazing thing. Because you can play games.
And I'll tell you another great equalizer. And I didn't know this, but Starlink is like here. Elon Musk's satellite-based global internet service is here.
It's here?
It's here. There are already beta testers, and they've reported download speeds of up to 200 megs per second. Upload of like 20 to 30.
That's pretty good.
That's really good for satellite-based. And so, like, you have all these people in rural world that could never get high-speed internet because the highest speed right now is fiber. Like, like you want
because
fiber.
It's hardwired. Yeah,
because
everyone wants fiber.
Everybody wants fiber, and the reason, and I figured out why it's so much better. The upload and download speeds are equivalent. See what?
Whoa!
Exactly.
Okay, that I did not know.
Yeah, I did a lot of research because for streaming, obviously, internet's a huge thing. So, a lot of times your issue with most. Hold on, time out. Back up for a second. There is a way to pick up.
I know.
Stuff.
I think it's R1.
Click controls real quick. Okay, how do we interact? Okay, it's R1. It's R1. Okay, that's how you pick up stuff.
I was trying to, but you hit me in the first. You hit me too quick. There you go.
Nice. So
they added that in Injustice.
Okay, on a quick tangent, and then I do want to keep going with I think games that allow you to interact with the terrain, for example, Battlefield Bad Company 2. Did you ever play that game?
Yeah.
Okay.
And all the subsequent Battlefields, they got those fully destructible environments.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Like, I want to play a game where my team, my squad, can go invade a city or a town and destroy their buildings as a function of strategy. Like, I want my strategy to be complete demolition so they have no place to run to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyways, I just love
Sounds like you're talking about Mercenaries 2 World on Flames.
I've never played it, but
yes, we have.
Really?
It might be like a distant scream.
Wait, I don't remember.
That was the game where like Venezuela was under attack and you're the mercenary. It was a PS3 game, Xbox 360 game. We played it at your house like one night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where did I get it?
I had it. I bought it.
Oh, you brought it?
That's probably why you.
I don't remember that at all.
That game was very funny in the time, but basically, like, every single thing you saw was destructible, which was incredibly interesting because it was mainly a single-player experience, so it wasn't even... you just level the entire country, essentially. It was wild.
How fun. Anyway, sorry, I'm not playing. But yeah, so let me get this right. Anyways, so let's jump back to the internet thing.
Okay.
So you have people that are in like rural anywhere that don't have access to fiber.
Uh-huh.
And the okay, I'm gonna start maining this guy, whatever this guy.
Khan.
I like him. I like his kit. I like his range. I'm gonna just main him. So you have people that like don't get service from internet companies that give them high-speed internet, so they can't game.
Right.
Unfortunately for them. But with Starlink, now it's going to be a global internet solution. And they charge a flat fee of $99 a month, and it's just that. And so once that comes online, think about how many more players there can be on every game ever. It's going to be epic.
You just need a cop.
It's going to be totally epic. And it's going to have enough bandwidth to allow everybody to play. And probably to stream. Because the thing about streaming is you need a lot of uploads to send it into the cloud and such. Oh my god, am I healing? Don't like that. Okay. So once that happens, I really think we're going to see like a much bigger pool of players, which increases the like the power of the gaming community, right? Because more of us means the better players that couldn't play before can now play online, which is, I think, a really good thing, because the more competition, the stronger each competitor has to be to be good. So it promotes better gameplay. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I think that's pretty far away, though. I mean, not decades, but like
Round 2.
we gotta standardize this stuff first. We gotta make sure it all works out and stuff. Then, if game companies have to make sure they have the servers to handle it. Because, I mean, I'm sure you've had experiences with this before, where like a new patch for World of Warcraft comes out, the game's overloaded, nobody can get on. I mean, it's not like an oversight thing. It's just like unexpected amount of people, you know. But I mean, that's one thing to think about. I don't think after a certain point it would probably all equal out.
That was good. That was good.
Mr. Cage's neighborhood? Right, left, down, down, B. Okay. Right, left, down, down, B.
Nice.
Pub nearby.
Why? You thirsty?
I could use a few.
Johnny Cage wins.
But yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, not to linger on the whole video game violence thing, but like, this is just goofy. Like, nobody's learning how to be violent through this.
No.
Because none of this is like a thing that an average person would do.
Oh no. I mean, hopefully not.
No.
Because that would be pretty extreme. That would be very extreme. Also, I think really,
Sindel.
it's like you can't blame an external factor for somebody's internal character flaw.
No. That's
It's
what
just-
parenting is for.
It's
Nature
just,
versus nurture.
right. Now I do think there are aspects of both. Like for
Oh,
example,
yeah.
For example, I could see how it could encourage somebody to think a little bit more aggressively, maybe. Like for example, if the only thing you know, like the only form of positive encouragement that you have in your life is from winning a video game, and the only way that and the video games that you play are violent video games, then the only way that you see any sort of positivity is by winning that game, which is inherently you have to be aggressive, right? So maybe that encourages. And I'm trying to play devil's advocate, of course. But you know, maybe there is something to be said of like, okay, well, that could encourage more aggressive.
Yes. I mean,
First of all,
Round
aggressive behavior is that does not mean bad. Like just because something is aggressive, somebody is aggressive.
well, aggression or passion. Like, if you approach something with a competitive spirit and you want to win, that does not mean you also are awful to your competitors. It's just like, I want to win, and I'm going to do the best I can. But then there's another kind of person who is competitive in a way that just, like, tears down everyone else. Like, that's very different.
Trying to figure out but yes, that is very different because I feel like I'm extremely so good. Because like I feel like I'm extremely aggressive. Oh my god. Oh, nice. Like in business stuff, right? I'm super aggressive. Like, I'm super aggressive. I want to just go after it and win and be the best and do it now. But, like, it's not a bad thing.
I think having goals. Well, okay, look at your League of Legends stuff. It's like you're an aggressive player, but you're also not tearing down your teammates if you lose. like there's. I mean, there's good and bad to everything. I think, you know, like.
And the thing is, we gave that a lot of like. There was a big asterisk.
Finish him.
Properly spelled. ASTERISK. If your only form of positive reinforcement is from a video game telling you that you won that video game and that you're doing a good job, that is an issue in and of itself. That means you have no other positive stimulation, no other positive reinforcement. That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be reliant on. Whoops. I didn't mean to quit. You shouldn't be reliant on one thing
Fight local.
for your significance, because then you're dependent on that. You
Yeah,
never
and
want
if
to
it
be
goes
dependent.
away, it's a huge problem.
It's totally a huge problem, and you don't want to be dependent on anything for a variety of reasons. But
Baraka.
yeah, I just think it's a really good idea to like talk about it with other gamers because
The hourglass.
it's an important thing. Like, I also think it's important for us as gamers to realize that, like, yeah, we're playing some pretty ridiculous shit.
Yeah.
And
Round
it's you know, it's not real life, and that's part of what makes it so awesome. But also, I think people who make the argument of like it's aggressive and blah blah blah, or it's violent and blah blah blah, like they're also not thinking about all the good things that can come.
No, it's never about the good things.
And let's be real, there are so many times that I've seen in like in a debate or an argument or something like that, where it's like everybody wants to be one-sided. Like nobody wants to see both sides. But that's not real life. Like it's never just cut and dry.
Yeah.
Like
Earthrealm will prevail.
I'm sure the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Round
Yeah.
The reality
fight.
is somewhere in the middle. I think that's the way to look at it. Like, can we have a shared version of truth? Can we agree on what truth is? You know what I mean?
I think the more we hear each other out, the better things are.
Oh,
Because forcing yourself into these, like... Forcing yourself into a situation where you only hear from people who agree with you and never question anything you say.
echo chamber.
Yeah. Is... Oop. It's like, it's very unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
Komotos. Down, 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 B. Okay.
Are you moving with the joystick or the pad?
Pad.
I've been trying to move the force.
Whoa.
Fatality.
That's ridiculous.
So epic. That's awesome.
I mean, it's like...
Oh, fireworks.
Oh.
Residual 4th of July celebrations.
Gear us. Raiden.
Have you played the story mode for this?
I haven't played 11.
We're streaming right now.
Tarkatan
Just want to
Warcam.
give you a heads up. So, the mic is live. We are streaming on YouTube.
Bye.
Round one.
I always like to
Fight.
give people a heads up
Good.
because I don't just want to like randomly be like inviting somebody to talk and then I'm like, surprise, you're being recorded. Anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
I don't remember.
On a totally different vein. But what do you think is the future of streaming with games?
Everyone has a path.
And is
That's-
that even your area of expertise?
Fight.
I think my area... I think we got a long way to go when it comes to streaming. I think...
What do you mean?
So what, like, this kind of goes back into what you were saying about, like, the average person being able to access the internet, right? And so Stadia does not work except under very specific circumstances. And we're just using Stadia as an example because it's what it is now. And I feel like Stadia is like the poster child for streaming video games, right? Like, obviously, Amazon has Luna or something like that. Like, it's not something that I think has taken off in any meaningful way, but they're doing their own thing. There's been other services that failed miserably, like OnLive, because technology just wasn't there to create a consistent thing. I mean, Sony does PlayStation Now, so there is a lot of streaming options. That said, before it becomes like a real thing, it's going to take time. However, I don't think I'll ever be into streaming.
Oh, really?
Let me rip your head off before I finish. Right, down, right, X. Okay.
I think it's toward down. It was right?
It tells you which direction it is.
Ooh.
Fatality. Raiden wins.
So, obviously, streaming is like probably the end goal, because if you can get away from having to manufacture systems and you can just make it all accessible, that's a lot of overhead. You don't have to worry about all kinds of stuff like that.
People can just like go to www.letmeplayrightnow.com or whatever, and then bam, instead of having to go to the store or order online, get a console, hook it up, blah blah blah.
Yeah. And I mean, so PC gaming is a lot closer to that reality than I think consoles are, because most of PC gaming is digital these days anyway, and consoles are definitely headed that way, but it's definitely one of those things that PC is very close to. But I just don't like the idea of my entire library of games being attached to a server that goes away one day.
Because you're worried about the reliability of them keeping that server up.
Exactly. And what we
Lol.
and what we've
Round one.
I mean, we've seen in the past where like digital games do go away eventually. Like, I mean, Xbox has done a much better job about that kind of thing than PS3 because they have a lot of backwards compatibility. But like PS3, that store almost got taken down this year, and you'd have access to your library, but it's a matter of time, like how long? And like how long is it until you have to hack the things you already own to play the games you already pay for because the person who holds those things doesn't support it anymore. So I can always pick up a disc off my shelf and put it in a game system. Like that's always going to be the thing. And like that's why I like physical. That's why I like collect Switch games on physical cartridge, because I know that if I have it, I will have those games, right? And like even then, that's not true because games get patched. So even like 20 years down the road, a game that gets patched, if I put it in my console, it's not the most recent game because the patch isn't available anymore.
Right.
So,
Well, if it gets patched.
if it gets patched, which, I mean, most games easily. But like, okay. So, I don't know if you've been keeping up with Stadia news. I don't want to be a downer, but it might be something you hear about. Stadia, Google decided that they were going to cut all of their original development teams for Stadia, making original Stadia games, like exclusives, right?
I think that's a smart idea.
But if you can play stuff on Stadia that you can already play everywhere else, and if you're already gaming, what's the point? Like, why choose Stadia over a console where you play something locally that's not reliant on the internet?
Well, the mobility. Like, I can bring my phone anywhere, and I can hook up the claw
With a good enough connection.
with a good enough connection. Well, I think with 5G, that's realistic.
That's probably realistic, yeah.
So I think it's realistic with 5G, which is cool. But no, I totally see what you're saying.
Part of my hesitancy with Stadia also comes from knowing Google's track record of launching things and then killing them a year later. So that's probably part of the reason I'm like a little bit more hesitant to talk about Stadia. Like, they can afford to fail, so like they might as well take chances, and if it catches on, great. If not, they can kill it.
Because it doesn't really affect them too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really care that much. What I would just like to see like here's where I'm excited about the future of streaming.
Round one.
I think streaming gives everybody on the planet the ability to cross-platform, and that's what I want. I want to play against everyone.
Well, that's also up to the companies to support that. Like, Sony really doesn't like letting them do that. Even though the technology's there and you can play against anybody, they choose not to. Like, they were the last ones to bring Fortnite crossplay. They are fighting tooth and nail to, like, play nicely with others.
Round two.
Probably because they won the last generation. the Xbox One did not do very well because of very, very bad messaging very early on in the system's life cycle that I don't think it ever came back from.
What do you mean?
Oh man.
Is this a whole rabbit hole?
Yeah. Microsoft had a very bad like amount of PR, a very large amount of bad PR when the Xbox first came out because they thought all these grand ideas were going to make them a ton of money, and it was like, hey, what if our game system was about video games and not, you know, also watching Netflix, which every system can do anyway. Like, they had all of these grand ideas to make the Xbox the middle of your entertainment life. Like, the original Xbox, I believe, you could just plug your cable box into it. So you could do, like, picture-in-picture stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but it, like, they didn't talk about games until way too late. Like,
oh, they didn't put the game first and everything
exactly. That's why it was called the Xbox One, because it was the one device to rule them all. But it was also like, originally they said the Kinect was going to be required, and the Kinect was going to take 10% of the power of the system at all times. Which, God, don't start on the Kinect. And then they went back on that, so people were like, well, and then the big thing, which like destroyed them, was that if you wanted to play your games secondhand, like buy them at GameStop or off eBay, you were gonna have to pay for individual licenses, even between like your family. Like owning the disc wasn't enough. You were gonna have to pay an individual license for each person playing.
That's not
yeah, no, I was trash.
Yeah.
And so
they made it some tactical errors.
Oh, it was catastrophic. And of course,
should we go online?
I don't think I'm good enough to play.
I'm definitely not good. Okay.
But the point was, like, Sony won the generation, so they feel like they can call all the shots, whereas Microsoft wants to play nice with everybody and like collaborating with Nintendo and things like that because they need to get some more goodwill back.
You know, they're actually doing that with Windows 11. They're trying to make it very, very open to the point where the Google Play Store is actually going to be, you can download stuff off that.
But I also heard they did not talk to Google about that beforehand, and so Google, as a countermeasure, changed the way they did apps to potentially curb that.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? I don't really know what the status of that is right now because it was not something I thought about. Because I'm not going to own a PC for a while as long as my laptop still works. But it's just like all these companies fighting each other to gain power.
It feels like nobody is thinking about what the
or the consumer. Yeah, it's very much about the bottom line and not about what's the pro consumer.
Right. Which does leave it wide open. Like whenever a company decides to do it right, they will be heavily rewarded. Which I kind of think, either PC games or, like, there has to be somebody who cuts through the noise and is like, we actually care about what the consumer wants. Because at the end of the day, the gamers, we do have the power. We may not always tap into it.
Yeah, people need to learn the power of voting with their wallet and going without something. Like, I don't know, as an example, Madden is a piece of garbage every single year. Maybe if people stopped buying it, they would make changes to make it not garbage. But it's like, oh man, what am I going to do? And it's also like, you could just keep playing the same game because it hasn't changed in 10 years. Gotta get those roster updates. And broken animations that don't work. I'm very passionate about people stopping buying Madden. To the point where when I was in college, I wrote an opinion piece about how if you want your kids to have a good Madden, you should stop buying it now. But essentially, like, it's like if people just chose not to buy bad content, companies would pay attention. But like, look at Cyberpunk. That game sold like 20 million copies. That game's not finished. That game is not finished.
Noob Saibot
That's
wins.
hilarious.
Yeah, and at a certain point, it's like, oh, well, people bought it to see how bad it actually was, and like that's an entire strategy within itself. Like, you shouldn't.
You definitely
You shouldn't. Like, you shouldn't make a game bad because it's gonna like be a meme.
Yeah, that's so dumb.
But like, they were rewarded for putting out garbage, and it's like, well, you could have just not. You could have just finished the game.
So do you think,
Cetrion.
in the long run, do you think in the long run it'll work out to where the best, hey, what's up? I can't pronounce your thing, MK Mobile. What's up, bro?
Oh, you're playing some mobile Mortal Kombat player.
Welcome to the stream. Wait, actually, let me I wanna make sure that our homies are they're able to like hear us. And actually, I want to acknowledge our friends. Hello, friends. Thanks for checking out the stream. Happy to PvP with you too. So chat, if you want to play, you want to go 1v1, I'm sure that this thing can do that. Let me know whenever you're ready.
All right.
But overall,
Should we check to see if they can hear?
we should definitely check to see if they can hear. Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Now it's going to get feedback. Okay, good. All right, you ready to rock?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the grand scheme of things, do you think like the best ones will win out in the long run? Like the best game
stuff gets the
developers
recognition.
Yes.
I think it's a mix of yes and no. I mean, how often with anything is it like, oh, we didn't appreciate it during the time because it was either ahead of its time or was ambitious or it wasn't what people were looking for, but now looking back, people are like, we should have appreciated this stuff back then because
Oh my gosh.
you know what I mean? Like in art and movies and music, it's like, wow, this was such ambitious stuff. And
Like
it's
the
only
Edgar Allan
later. Yeah, it's only like later
Round
when
two.
that we can really appreciate it. You know what I mean?
So you do think over time?
I think over time the best stuff gets remembered.
Well, that's pretty inspiring, uplifting.
I mean, it really depends on what is being rewarded too. Like, YouTube is a desolate wasteland of family prank channels and like treating people badly for views, and it's like those people are pulling in tons of money just being god awful and putting in low effort. And it's like, I'm not saying that I deserve and I'm entitled to get like, just because I like spend time on a video doesn't mean that I'm entitled to money. That's not what I'm saying. But it's like, I know a lot of people who put in the work and because of an algorithm they don't get pushed. But it's like the people who do find their content are always like, wow, this is a lot more interesting than the stuff that we usually see. I wish more stuff like this would come up. And there's like a lot of... With YouTube, it's not like the market isn't self-selecting because an algorithm decides everything, and like you can... Some people can game the system and other people can't. And it's like... And the algorithm is constantly changing, like what it favors, like length of videos, things like that. And it's...
Spawn.
It's...
not where you want it to be. Well,
Like
to be fair, I love YouTube. I want to go on record saying I love it. I think it's amazing.
Jade.
I think it's not perfect, but the idea of letting people share anything is a beautiful thing. Like giving creators the power to share without being restricted by the amount of data they can store on their own servers. I think that's incredible.
I think, yeah, that's why YouTube is what it is, because you don't have to worry about hosting your videos. And I think that's a prohibitive thing that prevents any kind of competition, because there's not many companies big enough that could provide that service. But to me, YouTube is always a two-way street, which the company doesn't really acknowledge, because it's like YouTube would not make the money it does without the creators, right? But time and time again, they are constantly not consulting creators and making changes that end up hurting them in the long run. Like, it's like, oh god, I mean, there's a million things wrong with YouTube as a company. But it's like, it never seems like the creators are first and foremost. Like, it always seems like YouTube and their money is what they care about more than anything. And there's a serious problem with people manipulating it, claiming videos, claiming ad revenue on stuff that isn't theirs. That's a problem. Yeah, but it's like, there's also serious amounts of harassment and misinformation on YouTube that go unchecked, even, and like are directly in contrast with what YouTube says in its terms of use, and yet people still have free reign to just say whatever they want. Like,
so I want to make sure we're on the same page, like that the viewers get where we're coming from. I think we're coming from a place of like, we care about the future of the platform because we both use it and we love it and we want to be successful. And we think that these are things that, when improved, will be better for the ecosystem as a whole.
yeah,
It's like
it needs
it's
to be a more
constructive
mutual,
criticism.
more mutual relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not complaining just to complain. Like, my YouTube channel has given me a lot of things I didn't expect I'd ever have. Like, I mean, I never thought I'd have 2,000 subscribers. Or like, I didn't think I'd meet cool people who are also doing cool things. And gaming is such an oversaturated part of YouTube anyway. But the thing is, it's like, there are improvements that should be made that are... Like, if the creators are happy and they don't have to worry about their videos not getting pushed, and like YouTube, like subscribers not being notified of when they post videos, because that's a serious problem too. People just won't be notified even if they have like all the notifications turned on. That, like, taking that stress away makes creators have more content and they can devote more time to the content, and they can right down B. Like, they can spend their time focusing on the content that makes them money for YouTube and themselves, instead of having to worry about, I have to bend to this algorithm and make a video I'm not passionate about because I won't be able to pay rent this month.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're saying the way that it's being done right now incentivizes a corruption of the creativity.
Yeah.
Because
okay, look at all the most, like if you go to the trending page, every
Mhm.
single thumbnail looks the same. It's a stupid face, some big text, like so much color your eyes bleed, and like everything is exactly the same. Like all of these, it's a lot. Like there's plenty of channels that have talked about this anyway, that like have put into words better than I could do it just while trying to play Mortal Kombat. But like there's really big issues about the manipulation of the algorithm that only rewards very specific kinds of content that aren't necessarily good. Like a lot of the most successful YouTubers are manipulating kids to buy merch, and like they're making content for kids while not saying they're making content for kids. But that's like where their bread and butter is. Like their audience is like tricking kids into thinking they're doing things that are real, like pranks and stuff, when everything is very clearly scripted already.
Oh, that's
Yeah, and like that's a pretty well reported on issue. So I don't want to go too far into it, but it's like what is rewarded on YouTube is not an indicator of quality.
Well, do you think it's as flat as everything, or just some things? Because, like, do you think there are some creators that they make good stuff? And they're
absolutely,
getting
absolutely. There's plenty of great creators who have built platforms over time. I'm not saying that no one who has been successful on YouTube is talented. That's not at all what I mean.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, because you're obviously very passionate about it and you're very intelligent, so it comes across very you're well researched, you're in it, and so most people aren't on the level of sophistication on this issue that you are. Mostly I'm talking about myself. So you're way more knowledgeable on this issue than I am. So I just want to make sure we clarify, like, this isn't I don't think it's an exception or a rule. I think it's probably somewhere in the middle, where sometimes it's happening and being abused, and other times it's working how it should.
So,
Fatality.
I think with things like Patreon, it allows creators to rely less on YouTube itself and more on sustaining a community and providing value through that. And I think that's a really important thing that YouTube has really failed at because of that issue of not sending notifications to loyal viewers who watch every single one of your videos. Because I've seen like previously really big YouTubers who like will post pictures of comments and be like, "Oh, I'm so happy you're back. Like, I missed your videos all this time." And he's like, "What are you talking? Like, I've been posting videos every week for like months. Like, I didn't go away. Like, it's just YouTube chose not to show them the videos." And like, this is clearly a passionate fan who really likes their content, not getting the notification that it exists and assuming this person dropped off the map. And it's frustrating. Because it's like
you put in all this effort
to build a community, and even on Patreon, you can't help that YouTube isn't telling the people who have chosen to get every notification that they're not getting notifications, right? So, like, that's a big failure. Like, if you deliberately say, "Hey, I want to know every single time this guy does anything," big fan, really big fan, and you can't even do that, like, that's a really big problem. And it costs you money too. Like, like, it costs YouTube money too, in the fact that it's not... Oh, almost gotcha.
So it's actually worse for everybody that's happening.
Round 2.
Yeah,
Fight.
it's worse for everyone, including YouTube. But like, they make... It's like the process of leaving money on the table. If you're making X number of money and it's like enough to appease the shareholders, it's like, well, could make changes.
So do you think it's really that, or you think they're just trying to fix so many different things they just haven't gotten?
I mean, YouTube is owned by Google. They're a much bigger entity. Like, if YouTube was an independent thing, maybe they could focus all of their energy on all of these issues.
Mhm.
But since YouTube is just a piece of the pie, it probably doesn't get the attention it needs.
That's sad.
Down, left, right, Y.
So in a perfect world, what would you?
Oh, that's a heavy piece of wood.
Mhm.
Joker wins.
So in a perfect world, like, what would you say are like top 3 biggest changes that need to happen to really fix these issues?
Kotal Khan.
God. Fix the notification issue. So if somebody actually, like subscribes to your stuff, they should be seeing that. Cracking down on like harassment and like misinformation, I think is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one is probably just like not turning into TikTok, but taking something out of like TikTok's book where like you can subscribe to very specific topics. Like you could subscribe to gaming, you could subscribe to movie reviews, you could subscribe to like commentary channels, things like that.
Mhm.
And like that kind of thing would push the cream of the crop stuff to the top. And like, of course, you'd still have to worry about algorithms not doing that, but
Right.
like it would be a more interesting, instead of trying to like guess what your topics are based off of stuff that you've already viewed,
Mhm.
give the power to users who know what they're interested in.
Oh, that's cool. Like almost have like a genres tab, like a discover genres thing.
Yeah, like there really, to me, doesn't need to be one trending tab for the entirety of YouTube.
Right.
And like there is categories, I think, within the trending tab, but it's always like, it's always the same stuff.
So then, what if it was something like what if they introduce hashtags, which they do have,
They do,
to
but
some
they don't
extent.
really mean that much.
Mhm.
It's bizarre. Their like tagging system is weird because you can put hashtags in the description of your videos, but then there's a tag section otherwise.
Right.
So, and I'm pretty sure that like based off of research of what people have done, like the tags that you put under the video that aren't the hashtags mean less than the hashtags, but it's still good practice to do both.
Yeah, I haven't like tested all these things either, but it would be nice to see more social added to YouTube.
Well, see, the funny thing was, YouTube used to be more social. Like, there was a messaging system on YouTube. There was much more... There was much more, like, social... Like... There was a much bigger emphasis on social and, like, sharing videos with your friends, but then Google Plus happened, and they were like, we gotta kill YouTube. Like... And then they killed Google Plus, and now we're like still left without anything really meaningful besides comments.
Well, that's kind of sad. Yeah. I also think they should have more rewards for viewers within the comment. Like, if you comment, if you're a regular commenter on my videos, I want to be able to give you like a badge or something. Like, you need to be recognized for that.
Oh yeah, that would be like taking something out of the Twitter book, which I think is not a bad idea. Okay, you can have super subs or whatever. I do not know much about Twitch anymore. What happened to Mixer?
I think it got shut down.
Oh no!
This
That
is
was
a
wild.
That was cool. It was like a panther thing.
Yeah,
Final round. Fight.
but yeah, the problem with YouTube is there's not really a way to interact with your community because there's so few messaging things. Like, if you want to set up a community on YouTube, you also have to have Discord, Twitter, Patreon. Like, there's no all-in-one thing, and like they're trying to do it. Like, you can like subscribe to channels, and then you can like, I forget what it's called, become a member of the channel, and it gets you like access to things. I think it's like merchandise and stuff. Did it again.
Finish him.
Oh, nice.
But I don't really know anybody that uses that because Patreon does it better. It's like they're trying to introduce features that other people are already doing better instead of like trying to make something unique and interesting.
Or just integrating more natively with those other things.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see an integration between I would love to see
It's a stage fatality. And it did not work.
I would love to see a deeper integration between YouTube and Patreon, where, like, right next to the thumbs up button, there's like a money button or something, and it's like you click it, and it pulls up a mini window or pulls up options where it's like, here are the three levels of their Patreon thing or something like that.
You know, let me see something. I think they're starting to do something like this.
Because that would be really, really tight. Also, I'm getting very hungry. So, are there any last parting thoughts or words or ideas? Anything that you'd like to share with the wonderful people?
Yes. We've talked a lot about creators and, the ones putting in the work. So, parting words are, if you like a creator, tell them you're a fan of theirs and like tell them what you like about them, because chances are it will make their day and they're not expecting it. Especially with the comment sections being as toxic as they can be. One nice comment can really make someone's average day a good day. So just be nice to the creators you like. Say thank you. Say thank you, but also like just compliment them and let them know more often that you're fans of theirs, because some people behind the scenes really could use the pep talk or something.
And really care about you as the viewer.
Yeah, I literally, as somebody who does really try to look at feedback and things like that, I screenshot a lot of the really nice comments that people sent me, because it's always a good reminder of you're doing something that people enjoy and appreciate. And I think that's something that gets a little bit lost in translation when you're watching a video. So even if you feel like, if you're watching a video and you don't know what to comment, just say, hey, nice video, or thanks for doing what you're doing, I appreciate you. Something along those lines. And it goes a long way to keeping morale up and keeping the burnout away.
Right on. Well, I want to say, Mr. Under 10 Hours, thank you very much for joining the stream today.
Yeah, it's fun.
For those who want more of this stuff, let's break the algorithm that we're talking about. So give it a thumbs up, give it a share, give it a save, throw a comment in there. Ooh, what is your favorite fatality?
Ooh, yeah. Across any Mortal Kombat game,
Ooh,
what is your favorite Mortal Kombat series fatality? Because there are a lot of good ones. A lot of good ones.
right on. Okay, let's make this interesting. Whoever has the best story of tell us which one is your favorite and why. Whoever has the best story, I will personally pay for merch from preferably Mr. Under 10 Hours here. Actually, yes, I will personally send you some of his merch, as well as an Amazon gift card.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
Whoa.
Of an undetermined amount of cashola. So let us know. Also, go to Under 10 Hours on YouTube and go like all the stuff, watch all of the stuff. Once you start watching, just watch one video. once you start watching one, it's really addicting and it's fun and it's hilarious. The beauty is that Captain Under 10 over here has a deep background in journalism and really crafting a beautiful story. So you see that throughout all of your videos. I know I'm totally saying this while you're right here and you had no idea I was going to do this.
No, I'm just sitting here taking compliments.
Stop, but don't.
No, please continue.
But seriously, that's one of the things I admire most is your ability to really craft an incredible story. So
I appreciate that.
that comes through your channel, and that's why you have thousands of subscribers, is because it's epic. So anyways, I'm gonna put your links in the description once we turn this off. Party peoples, those who are watching, listening, dancing, partying, all of the above, keep doing you, stay awesome, and we will see you
Next time.
next time.
Maybe we'll figure out controller support on Resident Evil 7.
Oh my gosh. All right, peace out, homie.